Everyone, it's I, Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Issei Was Betrayed and Gained the Betrayal System, Part 3. Let's go ahead and get into it. Currently, Issei Hyodo has just absorbed the information that the system's giving him. He has to gamble for Drake or spend some points to get a lot of points to get him. This is quite literally bullshit. He started off with Drake. He should already still have him. And honestly, the fact that they're putting a price on his friend and making him have to actually buy his friend, like some type of item, is just downright degrading. Almost as degrading as how I did his career. Now that I think about it, I feel really bad for Drake. I should probably apologize when I get him back. But currently I need to get him back as soon as possible, since he was my only friend and only one that stayed by me. He immediately looks towards the system and asked, "So, what quest do I have? Can I get any quest? Is there a beginner quest?" Immediately a quest pops up and it shows the title, Death of Rainier. Immediately in the description it says, "Kill Rainier, the first person who betrayed you. And make sure that when you do kill her, that you're very, very, very particular. Make it to where she dies in an unbearably painful way. Make it to where she regrets everything that she's done in her life." Immediately when Issei reads this, his smile creeps up on his face. And the smile is so large that it looks like it's going to split his entire face in half. And it really disturbs the system. But it doesn't disturb the creator of the system, who's watching Issei while chuckling. Issei is currently asking the system if there's anything like a bonus stage or something like that. You mentioned that before when you told me the rules. System says yes, there is. If you can kill Rainier while not receiving any damage, then you will gain an ability, a very useful one too. It's an ability called the Phoenix Heal, or basically called the Revival, which allows you to revive twice upon your death. Essentially, you have 2 lives like in a video game, and you can use it once every day. So essentially, I have 2 lives every day that I can go through, while the system says that is correct. Issei immediately accepts the quest, though he sees that his death is quite bizarre. Instead of Rainier killing him, he will be away from Rainier and all the way at Kyo, and he will literally scream on the top of his lungs and yodeling all with the loudest he can, while being completely buck nude and chasing after someone and saying, "Why are you running?" while shitting himself, and immediately dying afterwards. And Issei immediately thinks, "What the fuck?" when he just says it out loud, and the system just says, "Well, the creator has a certain sense of humor." While Issei says, "What type of sense of humor is that?" While he says, "Well, he's told me some disturbing jokes if you'd like to hear them." "Well, do you mean to go ahead and just tell you? They're kind of offensive, though." And Issei immediately says, "No, I prefer not to know. After all, that sounds disturbing, since that death was quite embarrassing and quite a horrible way to go. So I prefer not to. Yeah, I don't want to listen to any jokes that man has. Whoever created you, system." The system immediately says, "Okay. Also, do you have the create ID and erase ID ability? You can create a world that teleports you. No, you can create a portal that teleports you into a world that is full of betrayal, or has a person who's been betrayed by the world or companions, what kind of similar to you. You can either aid them or you can kill them. The choice is yours during the quest that you receive. Whatever you do impacts you and you alone. Remember that." While he says that, he immediately hears the system say that and thinks, I wonder what he means by that, as he says create ID, figuring that erase ID would just remove him from the world. that he was going to be teleported into and put him back into his original one. Right when he says create ID, he sees that he's now in a city. And when he's looking around the city, he sees demons everywhere, or beast-like creatures, something that can only be described as demons or nightmare fuel. After all, he sees this giant wolf creature with quite literally blood or red teeth and orange eyes with hellfire coming out of them, and immediately sees it look at him and start charging at him through the destroyed city. And immediately when it charges at him, Issei says, "What am I going to do?" in his head, while thinking about what to do since he's not really that strong right now. I mean, he does have his Chaos Blades, but he doesn't know how to use them, and he's not proficient in the sword. Should he fight or should he run? But then when he's about to think about whether running or not, he thinks about the ORC and says, "I can't run away from my problems." So he immediately summons out the Chaos Blades. He throws the left one directly at the wolf demon that starts charging at him. The wolf demon dodges to the left and jumps all the way in the air, 20 meters off the air, and starts spinning in the air while slapping its tail directly on Issei's head, slamming him to the ground at an amazing impact, causing a crater to form and Issei's face being slammed to the ground, making an imprint as he pulls himself off and rolls to the side because the wolf demon has slashed downwards towards Issei, just barely nicking his shoulder when he was turning around. And right when this was happening, Issei felt a burning sensation, and his body as if hellfire itself is burning him. And then he sees flames coming out of his wound. He immediately gets up and jumps backwards a little bit, trying to put some distance between him and the wolf man. The wolf demon immediately charges and goes directly under Issei, maneuvering downwards, trying to slash directly at his stomach. Issei barely dodges and tries to retaliate by swinging his right blade, while the left blade is coming around directly behind him, since Issei pulled it with a chain. But the wolfman has a great sense of hearing, so he jumps upwards, causing the blade to fly directly into Issei's hand. Right when he touches the blade and gets it directly into his hand and swings his right one. Right when he does this, and the wolfman dodges that as well, while going backwards and then flicking a rock that's on the ground directly into Issei's face, it hitting his eye and making it to where he closes them instinctively, as the wolf demon is right beside him when he opens it. He immediately feels quite the sense of fear, since out of all the supernatural entities he's faced currently, Stray Devils and Riser and his Barrage, this wolf demon is a lot stronger. He immediately says observe. Right when he says observe to find out what this wolf demon's level is, he finds something that terrifies him. The wolf demon's level is level 50. He's only level 1. How is he even maneuvering against him? Then he thinks about the stat boost that he received. He immediately thinks, okay, so I think I have an idea, as he's still dodging from the wolf demon, who has gotten quite a bit of cuts on Issei, since Issei has over 27 separate cuts on his body, all over his torso and directly on his arms. Immediately the wolf demon has enough of Issei inner monologue while avoiding him, and it's pissing him off. Immediately sweeps his tail directly towards Issei's leg, causing him to fall down. Right when he's falling down, he immediately throws both of his blades around the wolf creature. The wolf creature just dodges backwards, trying to dodge both blades, but forgetting about the chain itself, as Issei threw his entire weapon. The chains itself wraps directly around his neck, as the blades start to go round and round his neck, and Issei grabs both blades, dashing directly behind the wolf, grabbing both blades and pulling it. While the wolf demon is trying to pull the chains off of his neck, he's currently being choked by Issei, and Issei can barely hold the wolf demon, as its raw strength is grabbing at the chains, which are igniting in flame, which Issei didn't know this could happen. But right when he's still pulling off the chain, having burns on his hand, and his hands are being completely engulfed in flame, same with his claws, he sees that the wolf demon has stopped struggling. Thinking that he won, He checks directly towards the demon again, not letting go of both blades around its neck, and then realizes when it falls to the ground that it's most likely dead now. He walks closer towards it for a few instances before thinking, wait, if it's dead, wouldn't I have a victory screen or something, or level up? Before he could think more on this, the wolf demon jumps upwards and immediately starts to swipe directly towards his eyes. Immediately seeing this, the claw is right in front of his right eyeball, about to pierce it, and Issei thinks, oh no, I'm gonna die. No, I can't die. I need my revenge. I need it. I need to kill them. I need to dismember them. I need to destroy their entire kingdom that they have. I need to destroy all of hell itself. Those monsters should not be allowed to live on this face of this earth, he says in his head. Before getting enraged, his eyes start to have sparks of lightning off of him, and he gets furious as he grabs the claw very quickly of the beast and just pulls it behind him and tears off the claw, tearing off the entire arm of the beast as it gets up slowly in its dying state from its wounds previously and lack of oxygen, along with the ripped off arm, still tries to go towards him by running towards him as fast as possible and rushing him, trying to stab into him with its only remaining hand. Immediately, Issei grabs its remaining hand as quickly as possible, but then realizes that it was a feint. The wolf demon actually did a feint on him, and when he tried to grab the hand, he pulled it back and jumped upwards and slammed him with the tail incredibly hard to where he was knocked out of the state he was currently in, and he falls to the ground, leaving a bigger crater, and the wolfman just jumps directly on top of him and starts hammering his remaining fists into his face over and over and over again. And Issei can't do anything about it. He's trying to block them or kick him off, but it's not working. The wolf demon's too powerful. Issei is starting to black out now, but immediately thinks, no, I can win. I have to win. He screams in his head. Before, all of a sudden, he thinks, what happens if I can resummon and dismiss my blades? He dismisses the blades which were knocked away from him when the wolf demon got on top of him, and immediately he resummons them directly in his hands and stabs the wolf demon directly in the chest. Not just stopping there, considering he doesn't know how durable this beast is, he ends up dragging the actual blades that are in his chest upwards and slicing the demon upwards and cutting him directly in half as he swings down even more ferociously on the creature, causing it to fall to the ground. Still not believing it's dead, repeatedly keeps on beating down directly onto the beast's body. Its dead corpse starts to crunch, and its bones start to shatter, and its organs are starting to spill out. Same with all the blood around it. And Issei continues going. He hears a ding, but he does not care. He's continuously going more and more, and says, finally, I have my revenge, as his eyes are completely pitch red, and his smile is of insanity itself, stretching across his face impossibly wide, as he continuously kicks, punches, and absolutely brutalizes the corpse of the wolf demon, before imagining it being Rias, and he starts laughing, doing a laugh so horrifying that most of the other demons who are nearby actually shudder from this and try not to go near him. But some of them are brave enough, so they start going near him, while the system says, Issei, I suggest you get out of this. After all, the world you were sent to is not for your level. He immediately says, okay. As he looks towards the dead body and realizes it's not Rias, it's just the wolf. He says, I'm probably going insane, but oh well, he says with a smile, as he says ID erase. He immediately gets out of that world through a portal that appears, immediately seeing demons looking directly towards his direction as they were about to rush him. They all wonder where he went, as Issei appears right back into his room and says, so, Did I have a quest to beat him by chance? Well, the system said, actually, yes. He was one of the actual objectives during your stay going there. That was a demon wolf that serves under, well, someone particular. His entire family was slaughtered. To be exact, they were slaughtered by his best friend because he was jealous of his wife. The fact he couldn't get a woman as beautiful as her. For quite that petty reason, and didn't know that people in that world could develop curses from just feeling negativity. His was so much that when a demon came by, the demon felt it and decided to give him a gift and a curse itself, which was that demon form. We don't know the name of the devil or demon that's in that actual world. We really don't. But you managed to defeat him, and this was a legendary quest, so you already have 900,000 points. While Issei thinks, hold up, so I almost have the drag already? While the system says, yes, because of the high level difference, that it added more of a reward. Originally, it was supposed to be 750,000 for your actual points of beating him. But the thing is, since you beat him as you were only level 1 at the time, you gained a lot more points. Also, you're now level 25. While Issei says, so does that mean I have stats and everything? While the system says, yes, you do, you can go ahead and decide for yourself on what stats you want to place it into. While Issei says in his head, I'm never good at usually making stat builds in games. Hey system, could you put it on whatever you recommend, honestly? Whatever you think I'm going to use the most. While the system says, wouldn't you usually do it yourself? While Issei says, I wouldn't know what to go for. To be honest, I don't really know what to go for. I mean, if I put too much in one thing, then I'll end up being a master of one and literally nothing else. I'll be a one-trick pony. Kind of similar to Akeno. Akeno is never good in actual hand-to-hand combat, but just in magic. Kiba's mostly good in only swordsmanship and not really hand-to-hand combat. Nor is he good at anything else, really. While, honestly, Koneko only specialized in strengths. He never really specialized in any type of speed of any kind. So they were quite literally a horrible, horrible thing. They were master of only one thing. They couldn't beat anyone that's a jack of trade. Or just overall very versatile. So that's what I want to become. After all, even Zenobia couldn't actually be any better, he thinks. So the system immediately goes and distributes the points evenly. As he has 25, is level 25, it was a ton of points to distribute. Issei immediately looks at his stats and thinks, that's pretty decent, he thinks. Most of his points went into his strength and his health, mostly, considering he needs to have as much durability as possible. That's why I went to his strength, health, defense, and endurance the most, while a little bit went into magic and luck. Immediately, Issei thinks, I have to go to school, though. That's gonna suck, as he puts on his outfit and goes all the way outside. Immediately putting on his school uniform, going all the way outside, through the window, because he doesn't want to deal with his parents. As soon as he jumps out the window and lands directly on the ground and just walks out, while his parents are currently at the front door, witnessing this happen because they were about to check the mail. They immediately ask Issei why he jumped off out of his room, while Issei said, it's because I didn't want to see you. Is that going to be a problem? He says in a smart-ass tone, while his dad ends up saying, what's gotten into you, son? While Issei says, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that you treat me as scum because I'm a pervert. Newsflash, I'm not that bad. Honestly, Motohama's worse, and a lot of other people could be worse. At least I haven't actually done any sexual offenses or anything like that, so you could be happy with that. While they say, well, you did end up peeping on the girls a lot. We heard a lot of things at your school. While Issei says, Well, I was dragged into it. So if you excuse me, I'm going to go to school. And also, I prefer if none of us actually were eating at the table at dinner. I prefer not to sit with you, honestly. You just look at me in disappointment like you always do. And I don't want to deal with your bullshit, he says as he walks away. Walking towards Kyohai, right when he walks through the front gates, everyone looks at him and they feel a little bit different. Issei's his aura has definitely changed, and Issei being in an angry state from seeing his parents themselves, after having flashes of when they were disappointed in him, when they never believed him, or overall, when they treated him different compared to the literal strangers he brought to his home that were to them. They treated them more like daughters or actual related people to them, treated them more like family than they ever treated him, which was quite awful, honestly. He immediately scowls, and everyone stares at him while he walks through. Seeing him scowl was quite different. Issei's never really scowled. He usually is just a happy-going guy, just really perverted. What's happened is what most people think, while the Kendo sees this and start thinking he's going to do something perverted. So they immediately walk up towards him with the kendo sticks pulled out, trying to sneak behind him. They immediately swing directly at him from both sides, about to give him a beatdown. When Issei just grabs both of the kendo sticks at last second, shocking everyone there, as they all see him grab both of them with his bare hands. And Issei looks at both kendo girls and says, "Honestly, just attacking me for no reason, huh? You know I could get you for assault, right? As I said, we could get you for sexual assault. You literally end up perving on us all the time, and we know you probably did something to some girl." While Issei says, "I'm not like that, and I've been dragged into this. Honestly, I don't care about your flat ass and your flat ass titties, so get the fuck out of my way. And if you ever try to hit me with those damn kendo sticks again, I'll shove them where the sun doesn't shine. And I'll make sure I make a mockery of you at school for every day of the rest of your life. Your miserable, lonely lives," he says to both of them in a cold tone, and eyes devoid of any life, and says, "So get out of my fucking way," as he throws them both backwards by the kendo sticks, pushing the kendo sticks backwards and making them fly directly away from him, both of them landing across the actual school. Well, not across the school, but across that actual sides of him. Reaching towards into a forest is where one of them hit, and into a tree another one, knocking over both trees that they landed into. While Issei just ends up saying, "If anyone else wants them, go ahead and get over here. I got enough ass whoopings for everyone. Especially that fucking bitch ass over ORC club," he says, leaving his hostile intent very out in the open. After all, he knows it's stupid to antagonize them, but he prefers to go ahead and antagonize them while he can, considering they can't be that strong, honestly. They can't be that strong, and the fact that he doesn't want to do any type of plan, he wants pure goddamn chaos being released upon them. He wants to do it as quick as possible. After all, why do I need a plan? My plan is their deaths. That's all it is to it. I'll kill them up front if I have to. Consequences be damned, he thinks in his head. Before walking all the way towards his classes and continuing the day like normal, until at the end of the day when he's about to walk home, he senses Kiba directly in front of the gate, already seeing him in his line of sight when he's about to walk through. He tries to walk past Kiba, but Kiba grabs his shoulder and says, "What do you have against the ORC club? If we offended you, then we're sorry. Could you tell us the issue?" While saying this, Issei looks towards Kiba and immediately gave him a glare of hatred, which Kiba's never really seen. After all, he's the pretty boy on campus. All he sees is love and affection from all, and some envious stares. But no, this isn't just envious stares or hatred off of being jealous. No, this is hatred for many things. Hatred of his very existence, of the very fiber of his soul as he feels this. He immediately shudders slightly, and actually starts to sweat drop a little bit, while Issei grabs the hand that's on his shoulder and says, Nice hand. I think you'd like to keep it attached, right? After all, you should be very careful on who you put your damn hands on. Let this be a reminder, while Kiba's wondering what he just said, or if he said it correctly. He must be mistaken, as Issei squeezes as hard as possible and Kiba hears a breaking sound, and then he feels his wrist shoot up in pain as Issei breaks it without even using much strength at all. And Issei says, "Wow, you have glass for bones? Honestly, never thought bones could be this weak, especially for a devil." As Kiba says, "Wait, what did you say?" And Issei says, "ID create," while still grabbing onto Kiba's hand, causing them both to be dropped into another world. He sees that this world he's in, he's currently in a forest of some kind, and there's a blood red moon in the sky. He sees an army of what seems like monsters, a giant spider with tentacles and stuff all over it that have hooks at the end of them. He also sees that the spider has over 75 separate eyes, so as the system says. As Issei's looking at this spider that's right behind Kiba, he has an idea. He throws Kiba directly at the spider. The spider's legs shoot up towards Kiba and pierce directly into his chest, his rib cage, and directly into his left eye, and causing him to scream out in pain. As Issei sees this and sees the creature stab Kiba multiple times, over 70 separate times with all of its legs, and starts to bite into it, Issei immediately calls his Blades of Chaos out and swings it directly towards the creature. Right when he swings it towards the creature, all the creature does is look at Issei, and right when it does, it releases a powerful aura. The aura starts condensing around the creature, making it so thick that right when the sword reaches out directly towards its head, the aura just blocks it, and it swings back towards Issei. Issei catches it again, and realizes he's definitely outmatched. He uses Observe, and he sees that this creature doesn't even have a level. It's all unknowns. Immediately, a quest pops up, and it says, "Survive the creature of apocalypse, the harbinger of death, and the widow of all poisons." While Issei thinks, "Oh, so that's what its title is. Definitely fitting." Definitely fitting, as he sees it have an angry face, its spider face, and its human faces that are all around it. And Issei, looking more at it, thinks this is absolute nightmare fuel. Where the hell did this thing get created, or why was it created? He thinks that he's going to have to dye his eyes in bleach. He screams out for this ID erase, trying to get himself out of the actual world, but immediately the quest pops up again. The quest was auto-accepted also. The quest immediately says that he cannot escape the world itself. He has to escape the creature. Issei starts running away from the creature, and it starts gaining up on him, right when he ran behind him into the forest deeper and deeper, trying to get away from it. Immediately sees that it's gaining up on him at high speeds, and he can do nothing about it. He asks the system if any of his points are still left, and the system says, "No, I used all of them in the select categories." While Issei says, "Damn it, well, that's not going to work." And as he's running, he ends up seeing a screen pop up saying Sprint Burst has been unlocked from consistent running. While Issei screams out, "Sprint Burst," knowing how skills work, and he immediately knows because the system told him in its explanation. Right when he says this, he starts running at high speeds, outmaneuvering and outrunning the spider through the forest, as he's literally jumping through the sides of the tree, getting more momentum and speed. The spider's still catching up to him and going faster now, though, and it's starting to spew acid out of its human mouths, and starting to spew out actual webs out of its spider mouth and out of its spider behind, swinging the webs directly towards him, and they start piercing into trees, and he starts zooming faster and faster through the trees, faster than Issei can bounce off of them. So Issei manages to continue running it for over 5 hours. But right after the 5-hour mark, he finds out that he's just cornered himself. He's now in an area where there's no more trees, and he's already in the plain field, as the actual creature swiped him with its spider arm, not piercing into him, but slapping him so hard that he landed into the clear field. Right when this happened, Issei immediately thinks, how the hell do I get away from this thing? Immediately, a quest pops up and says, quest cleared. You got away from it during the timeline. During the time given, which was 5 hours, Issei forgot to even check if it was a time quest. Immediately, the creature still starts running towards him, and Issei says, isn't the creature supposed to stop? He screams it out to the system, before he sees a giant man with a giant blade, who immediately does one downward swing towards the creature, cutting it directly in half. This man has only one eye and a completely metal arm, which also looks to be able to shoot out arrows, considering he shoot arrows directly at the corpse of the spider, which is trying to reform, and then repeatedly walked up towards both halves and started to split it more and more with his sword, ripping every single part of the creature into little shreds, before shooting another arrow directly into the pieces before they start to reform again and regenerate. Right when he does this, the arrow sets on fire. It was a flaming arrow, apparently. Issei looks towards the man and sees that he's huge and towering over him now. As he walks towards Issei, he says, are you a demon? If so, then you're gonna die right here and right now. As he puts his giant sword that's on his back, that he placed on his back, right towards Issei's neck, and says, after all, I don't know if you're with Griffin or the Hand, considering you seem a lot more powerful. So, I don't have to question you. You'll just have to die, considering I don't want to take any chances. He swings directly towards Issei's neck. Issei just barely dodges and receives a new quest, saying to outrun or out-survive Guts. Manages to out-survive Guts by running away and escaping. Survive by somehow letting him let you go. You cannot abandon quest and you cannot leave world until otherwise. Issei immediately thinks in his head, I'm so fucked. As he uses observe on Guts and doesn't just see question marks on its actual level, but sees it everywhere. Even all of his titles are question marked. And his name is question marked. I can't get any information off of him, and he at least had some information off the spider. But no. This man is a damn monster, he says in his head. And that's where I'm going to stop. What if Issei was betrayed and gained the betrayal system? Part 3. I hope